We live.
Hello, Pastor Ebony here with Pastor Jody, Pastor Catherine from Vision Impact Center, Cape Town. And we want to tell you to meet us here. Yes, meet us right here at the Dollar Tree, Upper East Side in South Africa, Cape Town. We are going to be having a blessed conference here, February 2023. This is an opportunity for leaders to come together, to bring your church members, to expand your vision, also to receive kingdom downloads of strategies from God to move your ministries forward. We are equipping leaders, we are providing discipleship, and we are providing deliverance. And we want to see you there.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting night of Dating God's Way.
Dating God's Way.
We are going to South Africa.
South Africa.
Headed to South Africa, man. Hey, look, y'all, thank y'all for joining us tonight. I'm so excited to have y'all on wherever you are in Facebook world or YouTube world. Thank you for subscribing to us, and thank you for watching our stream this evening.
Yes, so glad to have you guys on. And also, I'm glad to be here on tonight on Dating God's Way. Hey, guys. Hey, come on in the room. Hey, Sunday, I see you. Miss you so much. I'm glad to see you on tonight. Hey, Tada. Hey, Nichelle. Hey, everybody. Share this broadcast with someone. Let them know that we are live now. Hey, Nish. Let them know that we are live now. We have, we talk about holy dating tonight, child. So make sure everybody get up in here. Holy dating, child. Go ahead.
Holy dating.
Yes, holy dating. So this should be interesting. It's an interesting topic that I chose tonight. And I'm ready to get into it, Pastor, whenever you are ready.
Is there really someone on the level of Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son?
Now, who know about Aunt Esther, y'all, from Sanford and Son? Y'all know about Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son? Child.
Aunt Esther was deep.
Aunt Esther was deep. Child, talking about holiness, child. She was holy something else.
Even though her husband was Ned. Wasn't her husband Ned?
Ned DeWanda?
Yeah.
Was it Ned DeWanda? I remember from Good Times.
Yeah, but they brought him up. They brought him in from Good Times over to Sanford, or they did. But somehow, everywhere he played an actor, he got stereotyped.
He got typecast as a drunk. Child, don't do it, child. Hey, y'all.
Y'all know what time it is.
Y'all know what time it is. Time for dating.
Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Do you know what time it is?
Check the clock.
Put your Gucci watch on, synchronize.
Look at us tonight being real DC tonight, child.
You know what? I've been going through old videos. I've been going through old tapes, and I done got some old stuff. And I'm about. I done went back to the 90s.
No. And don't go back past that. We said don't go back.
I'm not going back. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying all the stuff.
I just remember the time when.
There you go. 90, y'all. So tonight we're talking about holy dating. Let me get it. I just noticed I have my full name on here because I have my name from my other place.
Family.
Hey,
the best time, the roaring 90s. There's so much to say about those 90s.
Because most of them was born in that time period. Anywho, we ain't even gonna stay there tonight.
We ain't gonna stay there at all.
So
We can come to the 2000s.
look, I heard this topic. I actually heard this topic from someone else, and it was posted from somebody saying that this was the comment. It was stated that you don't need tongue talking, laying on the floor praying for hours, dancing and jumping in a church, past the armor bearer, being ministry leader as a model for your husband. Because your husband might not do all those things, might not know all the books of the Bible, just like it might not have those things going. And it led me to start talking about this subject tonight with our Dating God's Way family of like, what y'all be looking for? Is it all the things I named? Like, how do you determine for a man or woman, or how you determine what is the requirement? Like, what is it?
Yeah, fellas, what do you be looking for in her spiritually? What I mean, I seen some posters like, the woman that prays for you and everything like that. I mean, so what levels are you looking for?
Yeah.
What's your standard spiritually?
What's the spiritual necessity for someone that you're dating? What's the spiritual necessity?
Should there be one? Should there be a spiritual necessity?
Yeah. Should there be a spiritual necessity for the person you're dating? And I mean, as we talk about dating God's way, we come from a perspective, but also to get a perspective and to, communicate about things that may be playing in the background. I think with a lot of church people, some of these things play in the background of decision making, but also lead to a lot of, what do you call that, Pastor Will? Lead to a lot of like when somebody scamming. That sometimes your desire for these things can actually, you can get scammed because you're looking for somebody deep or this or that, and you might look past the character aspects, and because you're looking for all of these different spiritual things. So I think, it's a needed conversation, and those who are dating to, have these conversations about what you're actually looking for and making sure you're not setting yourself up.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely can mask. If somebody interested enough, you definitely can mask, your spiritual engagement with God, for a long time.
Yeah.
Until the rubber hits the road, right?
Until the rubber hits the road.
Until the rubber hits the road, and until you find yourself on the side of the street somewhere and your real character show out.
Oh my goodness.
But you can mask it for a long time. You can do all the right things. You can go to church. You can say hi to everybody, give everybody the shoulder hug. You can mask it for a long time as if you are someone that you may not be at that moment.
Okay. Right.
But let's talk about it. Let's talk about, what is holy presenting yourself, or not only presenting yourself, but as we talking about, your standards for, dating someone. Do they have to, what's the qualifications of, do they have to fit all of the spiritual components that you desire, or can they be around about one or two of them, and and definitely have a chance,
Yeah. So I mean, I think, this is what you're looking for is a conversation, figuring out what you desire.
What you looking for, you don't have to ask no more. Sorry, 90s.
I got a whole lot of 90s with you tonight. Thinking about, what you desire in a mate and how your spiritual life, how does that factor into what you're looking for? Your spiritual life, how does that factor in to what you're looking for? So let's get the comments going.
Okay.
What's on your top 5 must-haves for your significant other, boo, potential boo? What's on the top 5 must-haves for your potential?
Spiritually.
Yeah.
My top one was must be saved.
Okay, good. That's look at you.
What?
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't at least say they saved, Oh, I was a mess. Yeah.
Okay, all right, Niche. Say no Jesus. Got to know Jesus. Uh-oh, gotta believe in
Oh,
deliverance. Here we go.
oh my.
Man of God, save stability. Okay.
Do they have to be Church of God in Christ? Do they have to be
Go
Baptist?
ahead. Denominational. I mean, some of this stuff
Denominational?
does come up, you guys. So we really trying to get into it tonight, y'all. Okay, I see. Okay. What's on your top 5, y'all? Top 5 must-haves for your potential. Because I think mine's gonna be a little controversial tonight, Pastor Will.
Do they have to be anything? They just
Speaking tongues, still non-negotiable for me.
do they just need legs and the face and can
Baptized by the water and the spirit. Come on, elder. Come on, elder.
accountability.
Woo!
Wow.
Woo! What's in your top 5
Hey,
spiritual must-haves for your potential?
Top
5 spiritual must-have for your potential. Hey, Kimmy. Kim.
I didn't know anything about Mr. Kevin Samuels before we started this podcast. I only learned about him after we started our podcast.
Yeah.
But I see like there's quite a few variations of Kevin Samuel type of things going on. And what one of the biggest topics that the rolling thing I see is, high value men, right? The high value men that, I need a man that makes 6 figures, or I need a man that makes 300,000 and stuff like that. And I'm seeing this, this is one of the common things of all these things. At least I pop up in my video timelines and stuff like that. And so, but so what I'm seeing right now is like high value spiritual.
High value spiritual man. Go ahead. Pastor. High value spiritual man, child.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm kind of seeing a little bit.
Okay, your top 5 spiritual must-haves for your potential. We dating God's way, and we talking about it tonight. If you're just coming in and joining us tonight, we're talking about. I read this post that I saw, and it was talking about all of the necessary things that he had to have. Kind of. This person was saying he don't need to be the leader of the men's ministry. He don't need to speak in tongues. He don't need to this. He don't need to that. So I was just asking, what's the 5 spiritual must-haves for your potential? I'm sorry, y'all. I'm reading the comments at the same time. Somebody said he got to have a job, child. He got to be a good steward of that money. He ain't got to be rich, but he got to have some financial stability, Pastor, some stewardship. That's spiritual. From my perspective, that's spiritual.
Okay.
That's a top spiritual, top 5.
That's spiritual.
What else, y'all? You got anything else? Okay, morals. Okay, morals. Okay.
Fruit?
Do they got? Come on, fruit of the spirit.
Do they got to be a tither? Do they got to be a giver?
Being produced for no mama's boy. Oh, well, she said no mama boys. Child, look, Kim, you better be remembering you about to raise the mama's boys. You better remember that, child. Look, you gotta remember that you about to raise one.
Do,
Yes, they got
do
to be a tithe. Absolutely tithe. And they saying yes, yes, yes.
do they got to be on the verge of becoming a pastor soon?
Child,
I don't know.
child. This interesting list, y'all. Okay, so it says tithing got to be on the list. What else got to be on the list, y'all? What else got to be on the list? Okay, so we not robbing God now.
Maybe for me, Pastor E was on the verge of marrying a pastor.
Go ahead somewhere, Pastor Will, with this stuff tonight. We ain't got no time.
But I came in and I ripped her out of that situation. I delivered her. Delivered her soul.
You a hot mess tonight, y'all.
Yeah. Let the church say amen.
Who you a mess tonight? Uh-oh. Willing to learn, not being prideful. She said she not first lady material, child.
And that's okay. I can see him, and that's okay.
And that's okay. And that's okay. And that's okay. So maybe it's the flip. The 5 spiritual must have that he can't be a pastor. Like, it sounds like she's saying the flip of it. She say, don't be no pastor, because she ain't about that life.
Do we got to be on the deacon board?
Child, so you got to be a deacon, moving up in leadership. What's the 5 must-haves for your potential? Okay, so let's get into it. You said on your list was gotta be saved.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
What else was on your list? Because I had a long list.
My list. Whew.
So he could be an usher. Kip. Okay.
You know, I'm looking at this list now. I'm thinking about Tubi. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about Tubi because I'm about
to come out of Tubi. We not doing on Tubi tonight. We doing Dating God's Way. Come on out of there. Come on, up and out, child. Up and out that Tubi. Up and out of Tubi today.
So what's on my what was I desiring, right? To be saved, okay, to be comfortable coming to church with me. So you had to be comfortable coming to church with me.
Had to be comfortable coming to church with you, okay?
I went to, I went to a Pentecostal church, and and church was, deliverance, heavy in deliverance. So had to be comfortable with, seeing like the casting out of demons and stuff like that, and because that was what I was.
Yeah, that's the life.
That was my life. That was where I was. That was where I was serving at.
Yeah.
And so for me, had to be really comfortable with those things that came with my spiritual journey. Okay, so that's what I desired, and I know that's what I got when we got together. I got somebody that kind of that knew my landscape of spiritual atmospheres.
Spiritual child. Y'all hear Pastor Will with this stuff? He said spiritual atmospheres, child. Go ahead, Pastor. Go ahead. I said deep. So that I'm learning from this conversation that it's not just then women that are deep, men also deep about this.
Oh yeah, I mean, we want to worship her. We want to praise her. I got the bonus. When I fell in love with a praise and worship leader. So I kind of definitely like leveled up. So,
hey,
it was a bonus.
Hey.
I mean, up until then, the young ladies that I did date, I mean, there was no or hung out with. I don't think there was a spiritual component to they. At least they did not display a spiritual component to them, or even not even a church component to them, right? So
those were the women you were looking to marry. Then I'm asking questions now.
That I wasn't looking to marry nobody. You know me. I was not looking to marry anybody.
You wasn't looking to marry nobody, huh?
As they say now, I was trying to get that bag.
Pastor? You trying to get what?
That's about the bag of money. You trying to get that bag.
What? Oh, okay, just the bag of money. Okay, good.
I was trying to get that.
I was just making sure that you wasn't saying all the things, child. That you was trying to get something else, child. I was about to say, we ain't really talking about that tonight. I mean, we can get into that.
That wasn't even my agenda. Nope. I was just trying to get that bag.
Okay, all right, we can go with it for tonight.
I had student loans to pay back.
Oh, right. So I will say a couple of things. I will add to this conversation. Like I understand the reference that this title was coming from about the guy saying basically like this was messing some people up. They like looking for somebody to have all the things, and it's messing some people up because they missing high quality men or women that might have a relationship with God, will support you, go to work, will provide for you, will treat you with respect, will be consistent, all of the things, right? So I understand that reference of like having someone that can do all the things I just stated. Have a relationship with God, support you, work, da. But I do think that some element of my personal preference was like, I think it becomes hard to be in relationship with somebody that you do not have some of the things in common with. That, for example, like you talked about the type of church. I think all of those things can become deal breakers, right? Like Janet Jackson. Y'all know about Janet Jackson? She got married, and her person was of a different. Oh, that's different.
Hey, Facebook user.
Hey, Facebook user. That's different. Her and her person, they were her fiance or husband or whatever. They had a child together, and then found out that they was of different religions, had different ideas about like how the child was gonna be baptized, and got divorced. Oh, it's Yvette, Pastor Will. I'm like, who Facebook user? And then basically got a divorce because of it, right? And so I do think that there is something to this, Pastor, that's like being thoughtful about what spiritual attributes or what spiritual expectations you have of a person. Mm-hmm. I think there's something to it. Like, in other words, I don't know. I think you agree with the framework the person said. I don't know if I agree. Mm-mm. You agree, like, yeah, they don't have to talk in tongues, they don't have to this. But then I heard you really like, yeah, they gotta be a worshiper, they gotta be in my spiritual atmosphere. So I think I don't know if you agree.
If I agree with they don't have to talk in tongues, or
yeah, it was like he gave a whole list. He was like, they don't have to talk in tongues, they don't have to like worship this, they don't have to do like this, they don't have to do like that. They, as long as they got a relationship with Jesus, as long as they consistent, as long as they go to work. And I didn't hear you say none of them things.
I mean, for me,
like they gotta be a worshiper, this, that, they gotta be in your atmosphere, used to deliverance.
I mean, because I did date somebody that, and I was the tender age of 21 or so. And they did question why you go to church so much, why you got to go to that service, why you got to go. You know what I'm saying?
So I do know, yeah.
Okay, so that's why I was like, so why date somebody? Well, not why date, but I dated somebody. I dated somebody that wasn't in the life.
That wasn't about this life.
But she had every right to question because I was in that life, because I was trying to straddle the line of having my fun and praying for God's grace and mercy at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're coming down to though tonight is that it makes a difference. It does make some difference. The spiritual aspect makes a difference, and being clear about what those spiritual aspects is. I mean, I'm with Tara. Like, I don't know if I could be married to somebody who didn't believe in speaking in tongues, didn't do it their own self. I don't know if I could, Pastor Will. Like that, I think some things may be a deal breaker for you, or may be of relevance or importance to you, like worship or whatever. And so I think, I understand the premise that this person was coming from, right? That was like, don't like, basically he was saying like, don't be driven by those things, because those things can also like lead you to getting the wrong person.
I think that's it. That's like, well, don't be driven by somebody that could actually read a book. Be driven by somebody. Don't so because they illiterate. Don't it just
that's a wild
so,
comparison you just did.
yeah. I mean, but that's like just so just take away, just take away whatever your desires or standards are, because they can't be met. Well, who says that they can't be met?
I think that's true. Like, yes, I think that's true. And I think that sometimes when you have it, like, remember, I don't know if you guys remember, we did one on divorce. We did a Thank God's Way on divorce, and like the statistics, why people get divorced. I interviewed all of these people. And I will say that this was one of the things that came up the most. Disagreements about like spiritual things, and disagreements with like just like all type of things like that. And so I do think that I think that's important. I think it's an important aspect of understanding what's for you and what's important to you. We have a question here. Okay. Child says, okay, so what if they're a Christian who listen to worship music and go to church but don't read the word?
I was looking at another podcast of a pastor and a athlete that's former professional athlete.
Yeah.
But he had the pastor on his show, and he was talking spiritual components. But before the show, he was like, well, I gotta I didn't, I usually smoke cigars on my show. And I heard him on another podcast, and things that was, words that were coming out of his mouth wasn't necessarily
lining up,
aligned. So anyway, I'll say this to say, I said that to say this, that if you don't read God's word, right, it's really, you can't talk about what God says, because you really don't have real good knowledge of what God said, because you didn't read his word to study, to show yourself approved unto God, right? And so what do you think about Christians that, or what do I think about Christians that listen to worship and go to church but don't read the word? Okay, so is one, their discussions or their spiritual engagement is really one-sided, and it's coming from a songwriter. It's led by whatever the songwriter said, because that's who they are following, whether man or female. So so they got to get the whole picture. Even like I said, even in the Bible, when Paul met up with the people, he said, hey, are you saved? They said, yeah, we're saved unto John. So, well, you don't have the full scope of it. Here's the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
You right? So I'm sorry. So you gotta have it, and all in all, you gotta have the whole scope. And I think just having one or the other is not just having without the word is the whole scope. The word is the whole thing.
The word is the whole scope. Yeah.
And listening to worship music and going to church, that's only.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what type of life you live, and also where you're going, right? It's like, if your expectation of someone else has to be your expectation of yourself. And I think that's a key component that sometimes gets missed. Like, if you're looking for somebody to be all the things, you also got to be all the things. And so I think that it's something that I thought about is like my lifestyle, kind of where I'm going, and I want somebody that is also living, as you say, like a part of my camp, living the type of life I'm living, right? Like I think that's important, because I think sometimes when you have too many of those gaps, it just causes issues within the relationship.
But at the end of the day, if you interceding for me, you don't sing intercession for me. I need you to pray the word. I need you to speak what God said.
Come on. So you gotta go beyond just knowing, just being religious. You gotta have something. You gotta have some substance.
And I'm gonna say this, I'm probably going to the end, but it's like this also. It is possible to be attracted to somebody that doesn't have all the things, right?
Oh, sure. Whoops. Yeah, that's true.
And but I don't think you X them out just because they don't have all the things. But I think you begin to question, if the relationship continues, do you desire all the things? Are you willing to?
But I think you got to decide that up front, Pastor. Like, I think that's what we're talking about tonight. You got to decide that up front. I think it's unfair to go through a relationship with somebody, get all way to all way, and then you already know it's certain things that you desire and you're not living without.
I agree with that too.
I think that's just unfair. I think that's like what we're raising tonight. Is like, if you know some of those things are non-negotiables for you, and some of them things was non-negotiable for me. When I went to church with you, I was looking. I was like, is he worshiping? Like, what he doing?
I was looking too.
You was looking, bro.
I felt like I just turned into Pastor Jody right there.
You was looking too.
I was looking too.
All right. I mean, like, I was looking. I wanted to see what you was like, what you was being like. I want to hear your conversations. I think it's just like some things that you know already that you're not going to be able to live without. And going back to Yvette, like, I just wasn't going to be with nobody who didn't know this word. Like, I just couldn't do it. Me personally, I could not do it. But somebody else might, I don't know. So I think that, it's being clear up front.
And mind you, I wasn't out here looking for nobody Juanita Bynum or nothing.
Go ahead, man. You wasn't looking for Juanita Bynum.
Wasn't looking for Juanita Bynum or nothing. Hey, Minister McCoy.
Hey,
bro.
You looking for Juanita Bynum?
I wasn't looking for Juanita Bynum.
I think it's important to know what you are looking for, because this is somebody you're going to spend hopefully the rest of your life with. I mean, hopefully you get it one and done. I mean, hopefully you got to marry about 15 times. Hopefully you can be the man or the woman of one wife and one husband. I hope and pray. If that be true, like, I do think some consideration has to get into, like, are there spiritual aspects that are deal breakers for you? You got to be of the same religion. Do you got to be of the same denomination? I mean, for some people, that's a thing. You got to be of the same, like, and then, you can't tell people that's a right or wrong, I don't think, Pastor.
No, you can't tell them that's right or wrong.
I tell them it's a right or wrong, because I was definitely, I'm going to tell you right now, I was at your church saying what was going on, child. Because if it was crazy, I was going to tell you. I'm just telling you.
Too funny.
Because as we talk about dating God's way, so a large part of your life is your relationship with God is your spiritual life, and so not considering these things, I think it's irresponsible. I see a lot of people who date, and then they get to a certain point, and then be like, "Oh, the person not spiritual enough," or what? Didn't you know that in the beginning? I'm just asking a question. Like, we get to literal counseling, and then people like literal marriage counseling or premarital counseling with people, and they are mad at each other about, like, the person not spiritual enough. They don't pray enough. They're not this enough. And it's like, didn't you know that in the dating phase? I just think that's so unfair, Pastor.
Yeah.
It just seems unfair. Like, didn't you know those things? So my encouragement tonight, dating God's way family, all our single dating, potentials, courting, is like really get some consideration to like what are your deal breakers spiritually? Do they gotta worship, shout? Like, what's the thing, y'all? I mean, what it gotta be? Pray? What is it? Do you have any of those things?
They gotta know how to do the 2-step. Because that I could not shout.
No, you
I could not
cannot.
do 2-step.
You
If that was
said
a qualification for me, I failed. She had to look beyond my faults.
That ain't a thing that was not a thing for me. But I do think that like if somebody has a judgment of it, then that's the thing, right? It's like if I think that's one thing to look at too is like if you know, if somebody has a judgment of things that you think are that you subscribe to, those are other things to be aware of. Whoo, Cavante say definitely got to know how to do the 2-step. Go ahead, Cavante. Okay, here we go. I've seen some relationships. Is this a question so I can put it up?
The last. So you know.
Okay, I've seen some relationships where the individual was introduced to Christ and the lifestyle during dating, so they were on the same page spiritually. How do you face that? Because it's a walk that can take time. That's a great question.
You know, man, when we first started this podcast, I invited my my sister and my brother to join us.
Yeah.
And, this is my sister, my brother-in-law. I call him my brother. We don't do in-laws. He's my brother. And so he was Jehovah's Witness when he met when him and my sister was dating, right? And she introduced him to Christ. You know, he kept coming around the family. Y'all see my videos. You can't help but not to be introduced to Christ when you're around my family. Somebody gonna snatch you up. Somebody gonna snatch you up. And but you know, while that's a way, you know, but I think we're talking about those that are probably more mature in Christianity at this point. Are we, E?
Well, I mean, I think we can talk from both scopes, right? Like, I do think we're talking about people who go to church.
They were very young, but yeah, go ahead. You talk about
go to church, have some amount of relationship with God. They were young, but I think now there is a question. There is a question about if for even people who are saved, like they just like people, they're different groups of people out there now. So they're like, we're not really finding the type of person, that type of person. So I think you can run into this.
Yeah, sure.
You can run into this where you may be dating for, you know, other qualities. And then, you know, the relationship shifts in this way. And so you're not on the same page spiritually with the person. So how do you face that? And I think one of the things I think that you do to face that is you have to get grounded in some amount of reality of like, now that will take time, but generally when people first start in any religion, just to be frank, they go hard in. So I think that there has to be some amount of conversation and reality about, you know.
Is your phone in your speaker? I'm sorry.
Thank you. Moved it. There has to be some amount of reality then about that, you know, about what does it mean to now be, you know, you're engulfed in your, you know, religion, now you a Christian, all the things. What does that mean? I think that has to be a straight up conversation. Yeah. I think that's one way to face it. Like it has to be a straight up conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you definitely, it's a walk, it's a journey.
It's a journey.
You take time. But you also don't allow somebody else's walk to affect your journey of how you're walking, right? So don't get pulled into a direction where God isn't pulling you to.
Yeah.
Can I say that?
I mean, I think you can say that, but I think that it can be challenging for someone who is dating to start to have these conversations because a lot of times people get attracted when they get attracted to someone they don't think about
Right.
they don't think about any of these things. They don't think about their spirituality, their relationship with God, who this person is spirit. They don't think about any of these things that we're talking about tonight. So then when things come up, they caught off guard.
But this is where the scriptures, reference, being unequally yoked, right?
Okay.
Right, because I've gave the example before about the yoke that's on the cows, that's on the cattle or whatever.
Yeah.
And if the cattle are not the same height, around the same height or the same size, and one is shorter than the other, the yoke is a thing that's on their neck, on their throat. And if one is unequally yoked with the other, one is going to drag the other.
Yeah.
One is going to lead. They're not going to be in step together. One is definitely going to drag the other, or the other one is going to slow another down.
Yeah.
So this is where we talk about being unequally yoked. And so you have, and I know we talked about this before. We have to be careful that we are yoked. When I say yoked, committed to the right person. That won't drag us, slow us, stop us down in our spiritual journey.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we can't always, in the situation that Kim's talking about, maybe you weren't able to identify, it early enough, or you're just getting into a relationship with Christ. But if you have a relationship with Christ, I mean, I think there should be some due diligence then. And how you then approach these things and making sure you're not leading somebody on and or you're not getting into relationships willy-nilly. I mean, I think that's dating God's way too. It's being, having some amount of responsibility.
Yeah.
Have some amount of responsibility for the type then of, the engagements that you have with people and your thinking about spiritual, where they need to be spiritually and all these, perspectives you have. I think it's just fair to like bring people into that wide-eyed, open-eyed.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. So I mean, I think that thank y'all for giving some feedback tonight, some questions. I got a few points that I want to make on tonight. Some things that I just got the little internet sign. So hopefully my internet stays okay. But I got a few things that I would say to consider as you're dating, and we're talking about holy dating tonight. Go ahead, Pastor. Holy dating. I think number one is determine what is on your must-have list. What spiritual attributes is in your must-have list? And I see more questions coming up, so I'm gonna ask some more questions. But I'm gonna start with that one. Determine what's on your spiritual must-have list. Let's go to our next questions. How do you do that? Bring someone in on my view. Child, I don't know that you do that. I think it's a conversation with another person and you allow them to have their own opinion. Right? Like when Pastor Willie and I was dating, I had my perspective, he had his own perspective. I think that I don't think you date. I think it's really hard to date to convert. You either converting or you dating.
Missionary dating is, woof.
I don't think you date to convert. I think there's just something messy about that.
It is.
So I think like you're having a conversation with where they are, where that person is where they are, right? And so like one of the things that we teach in counseling is like you start with people where they are. In any relationship you go in, trying to fix people, trying to make them better, trying to, counsel them, trying to bring, that's always going to end up in some amount of chaos. It's just too much. Okay. It's too much. So I would say, let that person be where they are, assess from that point of view. Like I just took Pastor Will from where he was. Okay. Like I'm just like, what?
That was funny how you said that.
I'm just saying. Like what you told me, the things that you shared, like I didn't go deep into it, trying to like make you be somebody that you're not, trying to like, that's true, Pastor.
It was almost like you took me off the street though.
I didn't take you off the street. Now I take you on this journey. I take you on this journey. But when we first were dating, just be straight up, you was really like, you ain't gonna be no pastor, you ain't like you had a whole bunch of with you. I wasn't coming in to change your mind about those things. Because to me, that's the wrong thing to do in dating. You're not trying to bring somebody in to where you are. You're just being honest about where you are, and that person being honest about where they are, and then you making a decision based on that.
I had other dreams.
Yeah.
Don't flirt to convert.
Don't flirt to convert. That's it right there. Who said that? I missed that. Who said that?
Michelle said that one.
That's it. Don't flirt to convert. Oh, I see it now. Don't flirt to convert. Love that. We're not doing it. Okay, we're not doing it. So what if the person is a Christian, go to church, read the word, but that is all that they should? How can they change that? I think that, look, I think that's a great question, that if a person wants to become more devoted to their relationship with God, they should absolutely do that. And they should do that not in the context of the person that they're dating. I think that's really important. And so thank you for bringing that up. I think that person should, invest in discipleship through their church, going to Bible study more, learning from the people that they are, pastor people, all the people. But you should never date, or up your relationship because you dating. Okay, now I'm gonna be more devoted to God. Now I'm gonna go to the next level in my ministry.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
you should never ever, and I think that happens way too often. That if this person wants to change that because they are convicted, because they want a better relationship with God, they should absolutely do it. But if they're doing it because they want to level up with the person that they're dating, that is a no.
I mean, we definitely want them to be inspired to read their word more, be inspired to engage with God more, be inspired to do all those things. But as you said, that inspiration should not come because, oh, I got this young lady and I need to do all these things for her.
Yes, and like, look, I mean, in some spaces, me and you were in different places in some spaces, and our relationship with God and our, was where we were at those moments in our spiritual walks with God. And I think having those honest conversations with each other helped us when we got to year 10, when we got to year 7, 15, when we got to challenging times of ministry, challenging times of life. It helped that we had those conversations in the beginning and we didn't have those expectations of each other. We knew where we were before we got into it. And I think that to me is key.
It's key.
You need to know where you're at before you get into it. Okay, so can a couple be spiritually disconnected if they don't attend the same church or under the same leadership? I think a couple could be spiritually disconnected and go to the same church. Let me just be clear. So let me just be clear about that. Oh, yep. I think that a couple can be spiritually disconnected and go to the same absolute church. I think a spiritual connection comes from...
Oh, that spiritual connection is with God first, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what I was going to say. It comes from their personal relationship with God and then their ability to then connect with each other, right? Like, I know that particularly in our early years of marriage, under 3, under 5, whatever it was, having those relationships with God, like you go pray your prayers and I go pray my prayers, and then we came back together. Okay, like that was that was sometimes the answer. I read, like, people like, oh yeah, I pray together. Sometimes it was praying apart and then coming back. So I think that, that spiritual connection, has to be birthed out of each person's individual relationship with God. And then it's a come together. I think that I admire couples that is like, they do all their devotion together, all their things together. I think that is admirable. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to your individual walk with God that then you both come together with. But what do you think about that, Pastor?
But I'll say this to be completely transparent, and so that others can hear this, is that when I talked about we worship together, I saw you worship. That was a mistake to dangerously connect with you in worship like that, right? Even I saw you worship. That was your intimate place, your place of intimacy with God, and I had no business being there, and that almost led to destruction.
Woo!
Because I connected in the place where it should have just been you. And I'm gonna say it my way, but you was just as guilty too.
Oh, I was guilty. I was guilty. Look, when you lifted up them hands and you was crying, I was like, this is it. I was like, child, trouble. We was in trouble, okay? Because you're right. Like that's your intimate place with God, and that no person should be judging your intimate place with God and or using that as a basis to whatever, right? And so, like, I think that
this is like you, my wife, because we connected. Danger.
It is a danger. The connection has to be with God first. It has to be a God connection that then we can connect because we both have relationship with God. We both are coming from the same source who is God, not connecting with each other through like we just make sure we don't get in trouble. We're not getting in trouble by doing too much. So I think if they don't attend the same church or if they attend the same, my grandmother, my grandfather attended the separate churches for most of their marriage. Okay. And they was married for 40-something years and they went to different churches. And the biggest thing I learned about from my grandparents, my grandfather was Baptist, my grandmother was Pentecostal, and my grandmother spoke in tongues in that house every day. She got 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's how she was in that room speaking in tongues. And my grandfather, even though he didn't speak in tongues, he didn't do all the things, he respected it. He respected her walk with God. They had an understanding that we both have a relationship with God. This the way it looked for you. This the way it looked for me. I don't know that most people are emotionally intelligent enough to be in a relationship like that with somebody who ain't just like them. I don't know if we got that in the 2022.
I don't think so.
I mean, they got married back in the 60s or whatever that was, 50s. I don't know, 50s, 60s. I can't call it whenever that was. It was a long time ago. But when they had enough emotional intelligence to be okay with that. And he was, my grandfather later on came, got prayed for, hands laid on him, got it to worship. I mean, he got there like in his last years of life, in their last years of life together. And so that was like 40 years or something. I don't know that people are that emotionally intelligent to handle being different, being okay with that. Hey, cousin. Love you too, cousin.
All right. Go to the next.
What's the next question? We got more questions.
We got more comments.
Okay. You both go to the same church. Okay, this is another scenario. Let's play it out. Have a relationship with God. Don't worship the same.
We got comments before that one though.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, go back to Kim's line. Let's see.
No, I read that one. Thank you so much. Miss Mike McCoy was saying that keep these conversations going.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. This is our next question, though. Want me to go to question?
Okay.
So
hey, my cousin William, I'll call him William Howard tonight since we online. Love you too, cuz.
Yes, I thought you were gonna call nicknames. Okay. And so what if but the person wants you to have all the things and do all the spiritual things? What'd you do with that? I'm gonna talk from my point of view, and then Pastor can go. Like, I think it's a preference. I was not going to marry anybody that didn't understand ministry and such. I've been in ministry since I was 15. I couldn't be with a man that didn't understand me singing around the house, speaking in tongues around the house, preaching sermons around the house. Like, I just couldn't do it. Personally, I could not. And so I think it's a preference, right? Like, I don't think you can undo somebody's preference. Even if it's not yours, maybe that's not your preference, but I don't think you can undo somebody else's preference. And I do want to be clear. I think it's a preference. I do not see anywhere in the Bible where it says you have to marry a person that speaks in tongues or that worship exuberantly or whatever. That's not in the Bible. Okay. The only criteria is light and light. Okay. Light has no place with darkness. So light and light is the only criteria. But we're talking about preference tonight. We're talking about what your preferences is and what that person's preferences is. And I think that makes a difference. What you say, Pastor?
You go to church, you have a relationship with God, but you don't
worship the same. You don't do all the things.
You don't do all the things the same.
Okay.
And as you said that, I had a thought. I forgot. My thought slipped my mind.
Oh
But
man.
no, it's here's my thought. This is what kind of makes me nervous about dating today.
Yeah.
That dating without getting an understanding of the other person,
Uh,
getting an understanding of their upbringing, of their life, of their God experience, of their spiritual experience, getting an understanding of their journey. But we go straight to being careful of going straight to judgment. Um,
mm.
it's but I think you and I desired each other enough to get an understanding of each other when we come into spaces.
That's correct. Because we did not talk the same talk when we first met.
No, we didn't.
We didn't talk the same talk, right? It's like we weren't talking the same talk when we first got together. And so it's like, then I'm gonna all of a sudden make you be who I am. Like I think that's not reasonable in most cases.
So y'all may have heard me say it before, but E, when we first met E, and she still do, she loved book clubs and she loved hosting book clubs. And I came to one because I was her man, and and my lady, she was having a book club meeting,
Spiritual book club, y'all.
She was having a whole party. The house was packed out with folks.
Spiritual book club.
And of course I had to show my face for whatever reason, but I was really uninterested in whatever they were reading and whatever they were doing.
And it was spiritual, y'all.
But she did not hold that against me.
I did not.
Because she came from a place of understanding. Maybe this is just not something that you like. I love baseball, and I tried to bring her to the first time I brought her to a baseball field, it was disaster. I was like, I'll never bring you here again. You would never come with me to another baseball game again.
I had a lot of questions, y'all. I didn't understand anything.
So I had to understand this is not her. This is my preference and not hers. She's still a great person. She still love God. She still do all the things. Just this one thing that, maybe this is just my thing. Maybe book clubs is just her thing, and it's okay.
And it was my thing. Book clubs and small groups was my thing, and it was not his, and it was okay. So the question about can a person grow into these things while dating? I don't know that a person. I don't know what a person needs to
go back. It wasn't that you did not like baseball, or it wasn't that you had a lot of questions. It was you did not like being outside with bugs and mosquitoes and gnats.
I'm allergic to 14 trees, y'all. Look, I'm allergic. They did a little prick test on me. I'm allergic to 14 trees. Would you want to be outside if you was allergic to 14 trees? I literally went to my job. Like I went to my job retreat, y'all. It was outside. My whole back, like all my neck and stuff broke out. I'm like, I'm allergic to the outside. Okay, I'm sorry. That just had to be. So you wouldn't want to be outside either. Okay, sorry guys. So can a person grow into these things while dating? I don't know that a person should grow into. I don't know. I mean, I will say that I think that if you desire someone who is spiritually mature, if you desire someone who does spiritual things, if you desire someone who is a worshiper, if you desire someone is whatever, I think that's where you start at. That's my opinion, Pastor. Like you got to start with some of those things. You have to decide which ones are not important because some of them will not be important. Okay, like did he go to seminary? Is he like, fifth on the list at the dean's list at the Bible College of the USA? Like some of this stuff is not important. You got to decide what's really not important and then what really is important. And the things that are important, you just got to have them. I'm just going to say for me personally, I know we talk about this a lot, but I was not marrying somebody who did not speak in tongues. Like, it's just a thing for me. But that don't mean that it's a thing for everybody. It's okay. It's your preference and your desires. But it's a thing for me. And I mean, I don't think it was a thing for Pastor Will. I think his mother probably got him into it. I don't know. She probably prayed him into this, child. Because he legit married somebody just like his mother. So his mother probably prayed these prayers, child. But my point to that is, it is the person's desire. So I don't know if growing into if that's the right way, Pastor. Is it?
Yeah, it's not a growing into. Well, it's a maturing into.
It's a maturing into if that's what the person desires to
That's
do.
what,
But
no,
don't do it for dating.
Right. It's your maturing into.
Yes. Don't do it for dating.
So right. It's it's when people walk in the door and they come to us, or they, and we get a relationship, we take them as is. I mean, when we decide to go further into a relationship with them, we saying, hey, look, even if you don't change, I'm good with this.
Yeah.
Even if you don't become the next bishop of all the apostolic, prophetic rabbis, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you just came in the door as who you are, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
That's a maturity. That's a maturity. It's not people are not Burger King, have it your way.
Have them your way. They not.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
They are not. So I do think, should a person grow or mature if they want to? I think that's my answer to that. If they want to grow and mature spiritually, they should. If they don't want to, a relationship should not be the thing that makes them grow up and mature. They just need to want to do it. They need to want it for themselves. Because I do see that as well in counseling, y'all. Let me help you. That a lot of people do it for their spouse or do it for their significant other. And then when they get tired of doing it or don't like doing it, they resent that other person big time. They become very resentful of the person that made them be more religious or made them get more in their word or made them do ministry. And people divorce for that stuff. People have really hard breakups over things like that. So I think it's important to do it because you want to do it. And also on the flip, make sure you are connecting with someone who wants to do that, who is the person that you desire from the jump. Right, Pastor?
That's right.
What are the things you are deal breakers you cannot live without? Go ahead. Look at this question right here, Pastor. What if he spoke in tongues, but not just in front of you? I don't know. Would that be, or is that, it's not about, but I think the thing is, it's not about.
Well, how did you find out they speaking in tongues if they ain't doing it in front of you? What, somebody told on them or something? Oh, I saw them speaking in tongues. Somebody told on me in junior high school.
Somebody told you in junior high school?
Oh,
now, when I was in junior high school, I spoke in tongues in junior high school, y'all.
Somebody told on me in junior high school because, man, when I was in middle school, I used to shout in church on Sundays. And then come to find out, a young lady, she joined the church and we went to the same middle school together. And we was outside. I remember this time. We was outside at lunch. And she was like, that's the boy, that's the kid. That he be shouting. Man, you know what? That's the day I stopped shouting.
Pastor,
it literally is. That's the day I stopped shouting
Pastor
and stopped speaking in tongues.
No.
Look, I was at Taft Junior High. Taft was rough. You can't. I couldn't be that vulnerable that time. Honestly,
crazy.
That's the day I stopped speaking in tongue and shouting, all the way till I turned 2021 again.
My goodness.
And yeah, it was. Now I think about it, that was a life-changing situation.
I see. I see. I heard the story before, but it's funny the way you saying it now, though. My goodness.
Taft
I mean, I think it's not about a turn on or a turn
Got court
off.
slipped.
I don't think it's about a turn on or a turn off. It's like you're not supposed to be aroused or how can I say this, Pastor? You're not supposed to be turned on by these qualities, right? And
No.
so like I just want to like rephrase your question a little bit. Rephrase your question a little bit. I think more so if I think that's where your conversation comes in at, having a conversation with the person to know where they stand, right? And I think, you know, like there was no way for me to prejudge per se how I couldn't see beforehand necessarily how he felt about ministry or the fact that, but I could see how he responded to the fact that I did a lot of ministry in my singlehood. You know, I had people over my house having small groups. I, you know, went to Bible study. I went to praise and worship. I went to choir rehearsal. So, I mean, I got to see some of like, you know, some things. And so if I did not see some of those things, could I have made a decision? Maybe not. I needed to see
I was good. I was like, oh, you got choir rehearsal tonight? I'll take you to Baltimore from Hyattsville to Baltimore.
Yes, you did. I said doing it.
Good.
That's how we met at breakfast, got engaged at lunch, and married at dinner. That's how when I tell you he did it, you did it. It's that coming together. It is that I think it is that showing yourself. I think you have to show yourself. That's what I'm saying about this whole thing about public and private. I need to know before we together forever in private. I need to know in public a little bit.
Yeah.
He said that's space time. Go ahead, cousin.
But absolutely, you know, so, you know, but I think if I ask, you know, hey, do you speak in tongue? And you say you do speak in tongue, but I don't see it. I'm like,
cracking me up tonight, y'all. I don't know why we on that one tonight, but somebody keep writing about it every like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or so. But if you say you do something and I never see, oh yeah, I'm a worshiper, and I'll never see you work, I'm like, Young, I think I'm gonna go back to the 90s for a minute. You kind of welling. I mean, like, you welling on that. Like, seriously, I ain't never seen you worship. I mean, that's like problematic somewhat. Because I'm like, am I getting catfished or what? So I'm gonna bring 90s to now. Am I getting catfished? Are you just telling me this because you want me to like be with you? I don't know. So now I think I gotta see it, Pastor. That's my opinion. I gotta see it.
We are over an hour now.
We are over an hour. Y'all, we out of here, Dating God's Way, family.
This was fun, y'all. Thanks.
This was fun. Thank y'all so much. Holy dating. This was my topic tonight. I was just like, how spiritual you need to be to get with somebody? That was my question. My first premise of my question was, how spiritual you got to be with somebody? And tonight we learned it's your preference, okay? It's your preference. Be straight up with your preference. Let people know from the get up. Don't wait till you engage talking about, oh, I need somebody to be more of worship. But nah, you knew that before y'all got together. Talk about it. Be clear. Have clarity. And continue to date God's way.
Awesome. Look, we having our vision conference this coming February in South Africa. Hope to see you there. Y'all come to South Africa with us. For our vision conference.
Jody, Pastor Catherine from Vision Impact
February 2023.
February 2023.
South Africa. Meet us
right here.
I was in South Africa.
Upper East Side in South Africa.
Thanks, cuz.
Thank
you all for joining us.
South Africa. February 2023.
This is an opportunity for leaders to come together to bring your church members to expand your vision, also to receive kingdom downloads
Yes, meet us. Our spiritual father will be with us, Bishop Joseph McCargo in South Africa for Vision Conference 2023.
Got some great speakers lined up.